I recently went on Threads and asked people to share with me the worst business advice they had received when they were just starting out as entrepreneurs. And let me tell you, I was not disappointed. The responses came in hot and fast, and it made me genuinely concerned about entrepreneurship coaching that exists out there. So, today we're going to be going through my favorites, and we're going to be talking about why the advice is genuinely very terrible, but with love, mostly. Hello, my beautiful entrepreneurs. My name is Tabitha, and welcome to A Hot Mess Builds an Empire. I help day one entrepreneurs take that first terrifying leap into business ownership without completely losing their minds in the process. This channel is for the people who are standing on the edge of something really scary, but also equally just as marvelous, wondering if they are absolutely unhinged for even considering the jump. Okay, before we get into this glorious mess of terrible advice, I want to remind you that in just a couple days, this coming Saturday, April 25th, the mess hall launches. You guys, I'm so excited. It's my first live event. It's my first like live community thing going on. It's just $5. It's just $5 to sign up for each session. So um, there's going to be monthly themes. There's going to be workshops. I have a workshop planned for May already. So just please join. It's going to be awesome. It's meant for my peeps, my entrepreneurs out there who are just looking for community. This whole thing can be so isolating, and I just want a place for you to be able to go to and just be like, oh my God, this is, you get it. You get it. You got it. I just want that for you so much. So please join. You can find the link to that in the YouTube description that goes to my stand story. You can find the mess hall. And Hot Mess Triage has moved dates. It is now effective immediately on Sundays and Tuesdays. And I'm hoping that because I have one weekend day and one weekday, that should be pretty doable. The hours are pretty wide open as well. So I hope that works for the people I was working with already, like that I made this switch. And, for those of you who are interested, the link to that is also going to my stand store, which is in my YouTube description. You can book me for a one on one there. Okay, so let's talk about people's worst business advice they ever received. And I'm so glad people were honest, because the thing is that, sometimes we receive advice that, and I can say this as someone who started, was once a day one entrepreneur, that you take advice very seriously when it comes from someone who on the outskirts of everything seems like they're very successful, seems like it is that you want to do what it is that they're doing, that kind of thing. And so when they provide you with advice or they kind of treat you like a mentee, you definitely are like, "Oh my God, I should really take this to heart." But then as time goes on and you build your business, you're like, "Wait, that advice was terrible. That advice was terrible." So, we're going to go through my favorites that were commented on the post, and let's begin this glorious mess of really bad business advice. Okay, so this first piece of advice is literally why my channel exists, is just start. Just start. Okay, where, with what money, with what information, in what order, with what programs, what social media channel. When you are new and it's new to you, right? There's nothing wrong with anything being new to you. Like I've said multiple times in videos, it could be that you have this amazing skill set and then suddenly you are new to social media. And while it is new to you, it is not new to other people. And there's different platforms for different demographics, there's different platforms for different types of media and communication. And people don't always have that information, and that's just an example, right, is social media. But when it comes to staying organized with your business, keeping track of your finances, like keeping track of receipts in a certain kind of way. Like there are all these things that you may not think about, that you may not know about. And for somebody to be like, just start, it feels like the laziest piece of entrepreneurship advice you could possibly give when you don't elaborate. Now, I know it sounds like really motivational, like just start. Yes, no, please, please don't hold back. Please begin starting your business. Yes, just start sounds really succinct and motivational, but there's nothing behind it. It's just very like empty. So when people tell you to just start, if they're not providing you with information about how to start, they may not be worth your time. I try to tell you how to do stuff in each episode, and I hope that when you start, you realize that I've said it in other videos where I'm like, yes, start, but your first 30 days, first 60 days, 90 days are all about processes in place, getting that foundation set up for you so that you know how you work, you know what tools you want to be using and relying on and paying for or not paying for when it comes to your business expenses and that kind of stuff. And when you start creating content for social media and things of that nature, like it there's just I feel like I try to at least put information out there. Yes, just start, but here's some stuff that helps you how to start, right? And so when people say just start, just do it, just start, but they think that that's helpful and leave it at that, that's terrible advice. It's just terrible advice. And that specific piece of terrible advice with no why or how to behind it is literally what inspired me to create this channel when I was just like, I hate when people are like, just start. Like, what the? That's not helpful. That's not helpful. So this one was mentioned, and I'm sure we can all relate to hearing this a lot. So this next one is a just start one, but it came with like an additional piece of information, and I can't believe somebody received this information. But this has not been mentioned to me, but I have heard this before. And the comment was just start and don't expect to be successful for your first year or several years. And I have heard people say that to other people before, and I have read that in books. And I just think that combining just start with a very negative, defeatist piece of information is so crappy. Because the thing is that like you can be very successful in your first year of business. It can be very lucrative. It depends on you though, right? Like I'm always saying, bet on yourself, bet on you. Be more confident with everything. Like go into everything just going like, I'm going to figure this out. I'm going to learn about this. I'm going to do, right? Like go into it positively. And when you say just start, but know that you're not going to be successful for a few years, like it definitely makes you go like, well, how many years do I have to commit to being an entrepreneur to be successful so I can quit my job that I really, 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 really hate? That's horrible, horrible advice. I'm saying this with love. That's horrible advice. Like when you set someone up with such like a weird expectation that it's going to take them years to do the hustle and grind cultures, I oh this one really got to me, so I wanted to share it because I was like, yes, that is horrible advice. But listen, what it comes down to is how you adapt, how you pivot, how you execute, how you show up. When I say bet on yourself, I truly mean bet on you, but bet on you doing a good job for you. You know what I mean? Like, you can't just say, well, it's not going to be successful, regardless of how good of a job I'm doing. No, you're going to go through trial and error, right? Of like, well, this message didn't quite land. So we're going to, after 30 days, we're going to try a new tactic, a new approach. Like if you learn as you go, you can be very successful in your first year. You can be very successful in your first 6 months. It's just a matter of what you're doing, right? So like if someone has ever said that to you, I am so sorry, but this is not something that, well, once it hits exactly 5 years of being an entrepreneur, that's when you see the money rolling in. No, it does not have to be that way. So, gosh, I'm so sorry to the person who commented on that that's the advice that they got, but that is certainly genuinely not true. Okay, now this next one, I took what a woman had said to me and I actually combined it with advice that I was given when I first started out as a travel blogger. So, um this is sort of a combined bad advice one, but wear different clothes, change your branding, wear flowy dresses. Um I can assure you that of all the things that rely on the success of your business, hemline isn't one of them. Okay? Okay. Now, I'm not going to say the company's name, but there was a brand that I really wanted to work with. I really wanted to do a guest blogging spot on their website because, I mean, selfishly, it would have been very good for me to have that backlink. But I really wanted to be part of their community. I wanted to be part of their creators. Like, I genuinely enjoyed the community. And when I went to submit, um, my my pitch of my idea that I wanted to share. It was now I never took pictures of myself. The pictures that I have, other than a couple of selfies, the pictures that exist of me are pictures that other photographers have taken of me or friends that have taken of me on my travels because I have my own insecurities and I just don't like taking pictures of myself. But um, when I was travel blogging, I never took pictures of myself. I was very much into the landscape photography thing. I was very much into taking pictures of everything around me, but never of myself. And Torpedo's bathing herself, so my microphone's going to be shaking. So I'm sorry. Um, but yeah, because her bed is connected to my desk, and my desk is like really wobbly. So like she moves and everything moves. Oh, and I hit the microphone. It's an episode. Yay. Okay. But the requirements for my pitch were insane. Not only was it like it had to be geared a certain way, which I totally get when you have a specific audience, but all the pictures had to be of me wearing a dress, facing a certain way, holding the dress a certain way, the background had to be a certain way, it had to be portrait orientation, and I was just reading through these requirements and I was like, "No. I'm never going to be featured on this site because I don't take pictures of myself like that." And hindsight's 2020. I was very disappointed, but at the time I was very insecure, so I was just like, I'm I'm not pretty enough for this website. I'm not skinny enough for this website. There's no way that they would even accept my pictures even if I did wear a flowy dress. Like it really messed with me that these were the requirements to be on their website. And then a couple years later, people called them out for, being very whitewashed, being very skinny whitewashed. And then they kind of pivoted into sort of this body positivity thing. And I don't know what the requirements are to be featured with them and if they even still exist, because I have really stepped out of the travel niche. But yeah, like, this whole flowy dress thing while being a travel blogger, like it, it's just so ridiculous. Um, and I'm really glad that that didn't stick. Now, I know that there are people who, that's their brand. It's been their brand since the beginning to be in flowy dresses and do that sort of thing. And that's you, that's your brand, whatever. But don't push that on other people that that's how you have to be successful, is to change your clothes and to lose weight and to be in flowy dresses. And like there is such thing as having professionalism without having to wear a blazer. You know what I mean? Like, so it reinforces the idea that professionalism and success looks a certain kind of way, and that's just so not true. Like, I'm sitting here in jeans and a national park t-shirt and I'm doing just fine. Okay, next up. I have brought this one up before in my Hot Mess Hot Takes episode. Manifestation. Just manifest it. Or maybe kind of in the same category of just manifesting it is going out of your way to purchase very expensive things and be within a certain making it look like you have a certain lifestyle when you truly don't, and like going way over the line of your budget to make it look like you're living a certain kind of life, or manifesting that kind of life through vision boards and stuff like that. Listen, I'm not a vision board person. I think, I have said before, like, at the end of December and beginning of January, my feed is flooded with vision boards that my friends have done, or I see people doing with businesses that get shared and stuff like that. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that. I think it's quite touching and wholesome that people are excited for the year ahead, right? And I'm talking about not business related stuff. I love when people are like, they're having their first baby, they're getting married, they're going on their, they're getting married and going on their honeymoon, or they're taking that really big first international trip that they've never taken before, but the tickets are booked, right? Like, there are these things that I think are really great when it comes to creating a vision board for, because there is a plan of execution behind it, right? When you when you manifest success for your business and you're like, I'm going to manifest business for my business, right? I'm going to manifest clients. Okay, I manifested. Where are my clients? That's hoping, that's dreaming, that's wishing. You can manifest all you want, but if you have no plan of execution behind it, what are you doing? You shouldn't be in business if that's how you think that it works, right? So just telling people to just start and manifest it pissed me off so much, because like there's a difference between putting it on your vision board that you're going to start a business this year, and going, I filed my LLC and I sent my first invoice, and there's all these things that are so different from the dreaming part and the executing part. Now, I'm a big dreamer, and I know that I think I come off a little more uh logical, which I am, like, kind of analytical, but I'm a big dreamer at heart. Like, I have big dreams and big plans, and they're very unrealistic at times, but I dream hard, man. I dream for so many things, for myself, for other people, for the world. I'm a big dreamer. But I also know that a lot of it requires execution on my part if I want to see things through, if I want to see things come to fruition. I can't just sit here and be like, I'm dreaming of having $1 million year. I'm going to manifest it. Well, my $1 million year is not going to happen unless I act on it, right? Like, that is a personal financial goal for my business, is to have $1 million year. I just want to be able to say that I made $1 million in a year. And I think that's a really cool goal. But that's like, that requires work, that requires effort, that requires investment of time. And I'm very happily providing that investment of time, but I'm not just going to sit here and be like, I'm manifesting $1 million. Okay, that's like rubbing a lamp and hoping a genie pops out of it so you could wish for it. Like, it's listen, if you are a manifester out there, this is not a dig at you being a manifester. I know people put their positive vibes and energy out into the universe. They do the tarot, they do all the things. And I'm not hitting on that spirituality with any kind of hammer, like, you do you, but also execute, create a plan, be analytical, be logical, be reasonable with your dreams and your manifestations. If you just go out there and tell people to just start and manifest it, you are don't care about them being successful. Truly, that's how I feel about that. That's how I feel about that. Okay, this next one kind of has give and take to it. And the comment was, document the journey. Now, I think for me, this might be different because I'm recording the messy middle on purpose. I'm recording my hard pivot. I'm recording this whole entrepreneurial series called A Hot Mess Builds an Empire. And offering services and products that go along with it because it is in and of itself a niche, a brand, whatever, right? So I think me documenting my journey just helps my brand of talking about being a beginning entrepreneur or a pivoting entrepreneur. And I think documenting the journey and sharing with you and being transparent with you is very helpful and relatable to my brand because that's the whole point of this YouTube series is to share, right? But when you tell everybody to document the journey, that doesn't always work. Now, I think it's important for for you, for yourself to take pictures of like you on your first day of being an entrepreneur, you the day that you've filed your LLC or S corp or whatever, right? You the day that you open your storefront, right? Like, and it could be just like selfies with you and your computer screen. I think documenting things for you is like really great because you should be celebrating these milestones. You should be celebrating what it is that you're doing for your business. I think it's fabulous. I think it's wonderful. But it's not always on brand with sharing that documentation with your audience. Now, be relatable, be genuine, be your authentic self, but that doesn't always mean that it fits when you're already worried about providing certain information, providing certain topics of conversation that are relevant to your products and or services. So I think like documenting the journey is it's not always for everybody. And when you tell everyone to just start, manifest it, and document the journey, you're just giving really blanketed statements and really blanketed advice, right? So, but I think you should document the journey for you. Like I have pictures of myself like going like, "Oh my god, I started my LLC today." And it's like me with my computer screen. Um, and I took like snapshots of when I opened my bookstore. I have, cuz I of all the things last year I opened up an online bookstore which has been paused for a little while. But you know what I mean? Like it was a really big deal that I opened this up because I've always wanted to own a bookstore and I do now. And I just was like, I took a picture of myself and I was just like, I have a bookstore, but that's for me, And I think there's a difference between documenting the journey for you and your personal like record keeping, that you could look back on it and go like, that was a really good day. Like I filed for my LLC. Literally nothing else happened. I couldn't even tell you the weather, but I filed my LLC and it was amazing and it was a really good day. I think that's really important for you, but I don't think it's always important for your audience. I don't think it's always important for your clients. Some people truly do not care about you documenting your journey. And there were times that I would try to document my journey as a travel blogger. And other than me like visiting places and like going to museums or going on hikes and getting some B-roll footage and stuff like that, the admin aspect of it, like I did a lot of Pinterest strategy stuff and I did a lot of blogging stuff and I did a lot of writing and I did a lot of like journaling and things of that nature. And do you know how boring it is to sit there and watch someone write? Yeah, it's boring. So when you sit there and you see me doing my admin tasks for the longest time, like, okay, you also do admin tasks and you probably think they're a little bit boring too. So why would you want to see me do them? So documenting the journey isn't always like what people expect. It's not always what you think. And so I do think there is some give and take with this one. It's not for everybody. Like this is one where you need to know your client when you're giving them the document the journey advice because maybe like, okay, for instance, outside of the Hot Mess Builds an Empire branding that I have going on in World Her Story and things of that nature, I'm writing the women's history book. I'm sharing updates about that. I am kind of documenting the journey um, because I know people are interested in going a traditional route with publishing a book. And it may not be like a huge percentage of my audience, but I do have people who are interested and have reached out and just like, hey, can you start Like I started a highlight on my Instagram account. So every time I update about publishing, I just throw it in the highlights. So it's there for people. Um, and that's something that I'm going to document because I'm learning a lot about the publishing industry. And I think what I learned might be helpful to somebody else who would also like to publish their first book via the traditional route. So, you know, give and take on that one. Sometimes documenting the journey makes sense, and sometimes it doesn't make sense at all. So, if someone has told you to document the journey and you're like, wow, I'm really overwhelmed with already trying to provide valuable content related to my niche and products and services, then don't document the journey. Don't worry about it. Okay, and then this is the last one that I grabbed. So, stay consistent, and there's no asterisk attached to this, right? Um that's rough because I think stay consistent is so different for everybody. Consistency is relative, it's subjective. So to sit here and say, like, oh, you just be consistent. Okay. Uh, how often am I posting? What am I doing? Well, consistently, daily. That's going to burn you out. So when people tell you to stay consistent, yes, you should stay consistent. But if your consistency is showing up once a month, boom, that's your consistency. Because the thing is like sometimes, most of the time, you do not have the capacity to emotionally, mentally, spiritually, financially, physically, timely be able to show up daily. Now, maybe you take a couple days off and you're able to batch some content and have some things ready to go, or um you might be able to post a couple times a month or once a week or something like that. If that's your consistency, that's amazing. Stick to that. Don't sit here and let people burn you out by telling you to be consistent, but also not helping you create a plan to be consistent. And I never see anybody saying to be consistent within your capacity, which is where that comment was. It was about being consistent within your capacity and being consistent with real time in mind. How long does it take you to do these tasks? Especially when you're starting out, it takes you longer to do things because you've never really done them before, or you never sat down to do them in a serious capacity before. So you feel that pressure, right, to get it right. Um, so there's all these things about being consistent. And I just think it's just so crazy that people are like, just be consistent daily and just kind of brush it off. It's easy to be consistent daily when that's literally the full time job that you have. But when you have a family and a full time job, or you're going to school or whatever, what have you, when you have other obligations and responsibilities outside of you starting a business, being consistent looks so different because you are already exhausted by your real life continuing to go on, and now you're starting a business. So, like, I do think stay consistent without mentioning the capacity or a plan or how to acknowledge your real time, not your ideal time. I genuinely think that's terrible advice. So, there is bad advice everywhere, and it's usually dressed up in like this motivational language that makes you go like, "Yeah, I'm going to just start. I'm just going to start." Where? With who? With what? With what money? Like there are these, general questions that you are going to have about your business. There are general questions you're going to have about starting certain things. What social media platform is best for you, if any. Um, how do you start a website? How do you do this? How do you do that? You're suddenly wearing all these hats as a day one entrepreneur. You're going to have questions about something because there is bound to be more than just one thing that is new to you. So for people to be like, just start and stay consistent, it's like, I'm going to burn myself to the ground. And this is why I'm not going to be successful in the first couple years, like you said, right? Like, it, listen, This is what Hot Mess Triage is for, to plug my service. This is what Hot Mess Triage is for me to help you come up with a plan for your business, like a 30-day plan, a 60-day plan for you to get started and have good, sound, foundational information that gets you good processes and systems in place so that you can be successful in less than a year, right? So, when a coach tells you to stay consistent, sometimes they mean match my output. When people tell you to just start, they forgot that they started with nothing and they, are a little disconnected from that. So there are just so many things that genuinely are not helpful for day one entrepreneurs. And I think you just need to look for people who are going to tell you the truth. I hope you see that I tell the truth. I hope you see that I don't really try to sugarcoat anything. To my mom's pleasure, I'm sure she has noticed that I've gotten better with my swearing on here. So I try to be better about like that kind of stuff. But honestly, like I still try to keep it real and honest and, transparent. Am I always right? Maybe not. I'm sharing a lot of it from my own experience or conversations I've had or people sharing their stories with me or, my own journey for having my business for the last 10 years is it has been a very different path than other people. So, is my advice always sound? Probably not. But at least I'm like not saying, well, just start. And then that's the YouTube video, right? Like I'm showing up, I'm trying to be as consistent as possible. I'm, you know, talking about things that are very relatable to starting your business. And, this isn't me trying to like validate or vouch for myself here. Like I'm not trying to defend myself, but I see the difference in what it is that I do versus what other entrepreneurship coaches do, where they give like these very motivational and inspirational like little taglines and then that's it. And there's no like value add. And I just want you to look for the value add, right? Like if someone says just start, okay, are you going to tell me how to do it? And if they're like, yeah, absolutely. Here is a free playbook lead magnet or something like that, or book a call with me or whatever. Here's my YouTube series. Then they might be worth your time. But just keep a lookout for the people who are giving these terrible pieces of information. And like I said, these were from threads and people were happily commenting on it to just be like, this information sucked that I received. Because the thing is you want to take everything to heart when you first start out. And it's really rough when you first start your business. And people are like, just start, be consistent, and manifest all the things. And you're like, okay, that sounds so great. And then they walk away and the honeymoon phase wears off of you starting your business. And you're just kind of like, it's day 87 and I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Nobody's helping me. They told me to just manifest it and nothing's happened for 86 days now. So just know your capacity, set your own bar, advocate for yourself, look into people deeper than just their one-liners and stuff like that. So watch out for that bad advice out there. I almost said pilgrim, like John Wayne. Wasn't it John Wayne who was always like, I don't know, pilgrim? Wasn't that John Wayne? Is that John Wayne? I don't know why, but I just was gonna be like, look out there, pilgrim. I don't know why. I don't know why. That just came to me. Oh my God. Well, there's your real moment for this video. That's for sure. It's just me being crazy. Me being crazy. My goodness. Thank you so much for watching. I hope this video was very helpful. Watch out for that bad advice out there. And please like this video. Please subscribe if you aren't a subscriber. And I will see you next time.